Tinta durkosa yuapi wasamos pa tinta.
The White One.
The trumpets of the Pharaoh Tutankhamun, Lord of the Crown, King of the South and North, Son of Bread.
Plenipotentiary Chief Nanya Shabuel.
Now the copper trumpet. And so, after a silence of over 3,000 years, these two voices out of Egypt's glorious past have gone echoing across the world.
I mean, these SF-181 race and ethnicity definitions brought to you by the Office of Management and Budget, the Office of Personnel Management, my nigga, and the U.S. Department of Education. Don't like what I'm saying? Rip up your diplomas, your master's degrees, your PhDs.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
I am white though. 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 Melanin means white. I am white though. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. White is right. Melanin means white. I am white. I am white though. You're white, you're right. I am white though. Melanin means white. I am white though. White, I'm white. Melanin means white. I am white. I am white. Melanin means white. I am white though. It's up to us with melanin to change the face of white. White. A person having origins in any of the original peoples in Europe, Middle East, or North Africa.
I feel some spoken word in the air. Just because you know I care. Let me talk to you. We got to make it better. We got to make it better. We got to make it Spiritual warfare is crazy. Your ego is not there. The clock is ticking. Time is hard for me to do nothing. And I gotta make it better. The news of confusion. Life is hard, an illusion. And you think, I don't know if I can be there, but I care. Because I gotta make it better. I want to make it better. Get those planes out the sky, poison people so they die. We gotta make it better. I'm tired of being down. Watching heads spinning around. Spin around, spin around. Of sad faces bringing me back to old time smiles. Get rid of those frowns. Get rid of that too. I gotta make it better. Can you help me make it better?
Race and ethnicity is what you need to
I
claim.
want to make it better.
Race and ethnicity is the
We gotta make it better. We gotta make it better. Amazing how the twinkle in your eyes used to be love. Like you were standing there looking straight from above. What happened? No one can judge you but yourself. Help me to bring back love and peace or something.
Rawadi la entinin, ahlan jo wahid. Abdul Koshayu Abi Wasamu Podcast. Begin all things by first using the all. Rawadi everyone, welcome to Autochthon News Network. This is episode number 19. And I want to do something a little different here because of an article that I saw. And the article really put everything into perspective as to what's happening currently. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Make sure, unless I took my microphone on. Let me see your desktop audio. Okay, that should be good. All right. All right. Kimta Abdul Koshayu Abi Wasamus Pa Kimta. Begin all things by first using the all. Rawat El Atzum Ibn Duba. Rawat Yuhu El Rahuat Kuyani, Rahuat Anu, and anyone else who's on here that I can't see. Rawat. Alright, so give me a thumbs up if y'all can hear me. If you can hear my volume. Rawat Maluk. So I want to do something different today before we get into the situation currently, because this article really brings it home as to why a lot of things happen that don't seem to make sense. One of the things, I just got to open, I have to open this tab up here because I had an anomaly that occurred. Some of you may have seen the screenshot Some of you may not have. And in the screenshot, here, I'm just scrolling down to, yeah, I just posted it just yesterday, or the day before. There we go. So I'm going to put the link here in the chat. For those that didn't see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I'll call it anomaly. I had on, anomaly that I had on, should be Thursday. Oh, it was yesterday, so yes, November 20th, yeah, it was Thursday. On my computer on Thursday. So for those of you that are able to, you can click on that link and go look at the actual picture. When you see the actual picture, what you're going to see is 2029-0404, 10:14 a.m. And that's according to that, the date that the file was modified. This video was a healing file I did with my daughter, Empress Cassiani L. And what's interesting is the computer is saying it was modified 5 years into the future. At 2029-0404, that's April 4th, 2029. That video was done back in 2021. And then the second video was when we did our first drumming ritual. That was 2025. Is when it said it was modified on October 19th. Now, October 19th is the day that I was forcibly under threat, duress, and coercion to return the children despite improper service. So, as anyone can see on the picture, you have one on October 19th, and that video again was 4 years in the past, and then 2029 is 4 years into the future. So when the ex-CIA agents were talking about the U.S. government is dealing with timelines and trying to alter and distort time, that picture that you all see is a confirmation of it. Yes, I know it's buffering. I am recording as well on my end, which will not have the buffering. We know why. I will upload when I am finished. In the meantime, please put questions and comments in the chat and I will answer them. So towel hat for that, Maloop. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to go to this article. The article I put in the chat is dealing with Greys and reptilians. So I'm going to speak this now. This was put up yesterday at 8:06 a.m. by Paris V. Stefanow. I don't know how long this is, but I'm going to speak it. Because I just thought that this was absolutely fascinating. And I want to use this as an introduction, a very thorough introduction, before I get into the situation with what happened yesterday. So, This post here, this initial report is concerned with two groups of aliens, the Greys and the Reptilians. There are several different kinds of both Greys and Reptilians. 70 different species of Greys and 16 different species of Reptilians. Mr. Paris either doesn't know it or left it out, but I'll fill in the blanks where necessary. Both groups live on this planet or beneath its surface and in space. They have been here for a long time. The Greys are also working for Reptilians relative to the abductee as an individual and to the human race as a whole. They have been used by the Reptilians as the middlemen doing the work and exposing themselves to us on behalf of and instead of the Reptilians, because the Reptilians have tracked them. So because the Reptilians have tracked them, they're totally dependent on, the Greys are totally dependent upon the Reptilians. What is left out is the fact that the Anunnaki created the Greys first and then gave them their freedom. Once they did that, the Reptilians came in and took control over the Greys. Although reptilian-based, the Saurian Greys are less visibly so, which is why they have been chosen to interface with abductees. This is according to Branton. The Greys are consistently referred to as a mercenary force. Some reptilians eat humans like we eat chicken. In the United States, there are rumors of great underground food storage rooms full of preserved human bodies. Sometimes the rumor has it that the bodies are those of children. I asked the Greys why. If this was true, would it be children? I was told that it is not only children but also adults that reptilians eat. Children are preferred because they are generally unpoisoned by substances like caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, and other things adults are saturated with as a group. The reptilians seem to have little regard for us as living beings. That's true. I can definitely confirm that. They think that we are as ugly and repulsive to them as we ever portrayed them to be, and that we, the human race, are, quote, as valuable as weeds. However, they do seem to consider some of us valuable property. One gets the feeling they will continue to use us as they see fit, or if we ever become a real problem as a group, they would sooner wipe us out than deal with it. They do not fear us, considering themselves far superior to us by all comparisons. They supposedly consider the surface of this planet to be a poisonous, inhospitable environment and allow us to live here as livestock, according to Branton. Since they live below the surface and in space, we and our surface environment function as a physical buffer or living shield around their home underworld. Note, some sources claim that many of the Greys and reptiloids are moving en masse to massive underground centers below major human cities for the sole purpose of having a human shield in order to protect themselves from Earth-penetrating weapons which their Andromedan, Pleiadian, or other enemies might otherwise use to destroy them. This would also provide them with a ready source of human biological material for whatever purpose they require. Branton. So this confirms my suspicion that there is a reptilian base underneath the city of Edmonton. Now this has been disputed by, of course, the ChatGPT and the other AI. Now we have an independent source. According to sources, they claim that they're in the underground of major cities. Now, the major cities for Canada would be Toronto, Montreal, Halifax is considered a base, even though it's out east, a major city. Potentially Quebec City, and then Winnipeg is a major city. Saskatoon, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. And so that's your 9. And we can't forget, of course, about that city in British Columbia. Even though it's not a major city, it's what's that city called? It was in the book Malachi Mark, Kelowna, British Columbia, where they say a lot of child trafficking goes on. That was the book that Father Malachi Martin had wrote. The book is called Michelle Remembers. So I put the link in the chat here, so it's here pertaining to the graves of reptilians and humans. So continuing on, socially and culturally, graves and humans are very different. They, the graves, fear us because they know we are potentially powerful beings. However, they insist that they, quote, own us. They say they created us, lie, according to Branton, and therefore have the right to do what they will with us. Beyond this original right to interfere with us, they say they have additionally earned the right through their control. Because they can control us on an individual and cultural basis, both physically and mentally, they say they, quote, own us. These attitudes are propaganda. Their control over us in any capacity is ultimately very frail due to its very nature. Depends on us not knowing that we are being controlled, according to Branton. Their control is based on intimidation and advanced technology. As we become more aware, we are harder to control, harder to lie to, harder to confuse. So that link that I gave everybody from Facebook about the problem of, I've got 2 sets. One going 4 years into the past from a video. The video was done 4 years ago, but it's saying it was modified 4 years later. And then I have another video that's 4 years into the past saying it's being modified 4 years into the future. So definitely, like I said, higher technology is involved, and now this article here is confirming it. Our technology would definitely be competitive to theirs if we had access to it. Much of the technology we would need to effectively overcome the situation exists now within the alien-manipulated military-industrial establishment, or it's known as the military-industrial complex, which is part of the secret or corporate government technocracy. This is according to Branton. It just isn't made available to the public for economic reasons as well as national security. The preceding statements about the Greys are based on conversations with them and long observation of them. Impressions about the reptilians are more general. I have not engaged in conversations with the taller reptilians, though they have sometimes spoken to me. Most of my experience with them does not include direct communication between me and them. Almost all of my consciously recalled memories of reptilians also include Greys, who usually do the communicating between us. Often the reptilians seem to be present during abductions as observers only, standing off to the side of the action, just watching. The Greys and the Bavarian Thule Society. The Greys were ultimately behind the Bavarian Gnostic Thule group in Germany during the war, and no doubt were ultimately behind German policy of internment and termination of the Jews during the war. Think of the emotion that was generated in the concentration camps. Note, reptiloids and Greys feed off of negative emotions like fear via a type of osmosis. Joint operational underground bases maintained by the reptiloids graves reportedly exist between Germany as they do beneath the U.S., according to Branton. So osmosis, to help everyone, is the net movement of solvent molecules like water across a semi-permeable membrane from an area of high solvent concentration, low solute concentration, to an area of low solvent concentration, high solute concentration. This passive process aims to equalize the solute concentrations on both sides of the membrane, and it is essential for many biological functions in plants and animals, such as water absorption by roots and kidney function. How it works. Semi-permeable membrane. This is a barrier that allows some things to pass through it, but not others. In osmosis, the membrane is permeable to the solvent, like water, but not to the solute, like salt or sugar. The Pasturing and Use of Surface Earth Humans by Jason Bishop. Most UFO buffs think that their efforts will lead to some sensible attention by the authorities to the broad problem that UFOs present. The problem of are they invaders, what do they want here on Earth, and all those other nagging questions. They come to Earth for things surface people don't even know about. Earth is on the ancient space trade routes. They come to bases, cabin city complexes, and they mine, manufacture, and do some genetic manipulations to form various subservient cross breeds. The reptilians. For the most part, we are dealing with another species that is humanoid in shape but reptilian in heritage. Their leader elite are the Draco. They even have special wings, which are flaps of skin supported by long ribs. These can be folded back against the body. They are also known as the dragon race, and their symbology usually includes the winged serpent. There are elements of their species which do not have wings, the soldier class of the species, and scientists. This makes me think this person is getting this from either Man from Planet Risk or Mission Earth in the extraterrestrial involvement. I know this paragraph by heart. They are all quote unquote cold-blooded and have to have a balanced environment to maintain body temperature. But yeah, this is straight from Man from Planet Risk or Mission Earth extraterrestrial involvement. The soldier class of the species can bury themselves in the ground and wait long periods of time in order to ambush their enemy. If need be, they can survive on one very large meal every few weeks or even once a year when hibernating or in suspended animation. As a species, they are well suited for space travel due to their ability to hibernate. These reptoids have scales which protect them from moisture loss. They have no sweat glands. The scutes are much larger on their backs, making the skin waterproof. The scales elsewhere on the body are more flexible. They have 3 fingers with an opposing thumb. The eyes are cat-like and large. They have twin nostrils at the end of a short, stubby muzzle. They are mostly meat eaters. The mouth is more like a slit, lipless, but they have teeth which are differentiated into incisors, canines, and molars. They average in height from 6 to 7 feet. The reptilian, amphibian humanoids have been interacting with Earth for ages. Many contactees and abductees reportedly describe an insignia of a flying serpent on a shoulder patch, a badge, a medallion, or a helmet. The serpent race lives under the ground. Now, People who know about what's called the caduceus, or the symbol that they use on the medical associations, when it's got two of those snakes and then it goes up, that's the symbol for commerce. That's not the symbol for um, health or for healing. The symbol for health or healing is a staff, or what do you want to call it? A staff, or you want to call it a rod, and one serpent, not two. That's the proper symbol for healing. The symbol where the medical association and them use, that's for commerce. So that shows you the medical profession is about commerce, not about healing. The skin seems to have a metallic content and an unusual cobalt pigmentation. Many have no external sex organs. Some have been bred to have them. Note, most reptiloids that have been encountered have been described as having no exterior sex organs. However, on a few occasions, reptiloids have been described as having external sex organs. In nearly every case that I have heard of where these reptiloids were encountered, the abductee was a female human who was forcibly raped by the reptilian within an underground base or even within their own homes during the abduction encounter. Again, according to Branton. There are accounts in the legends of Babylon, India, Egypt, South America, Central America, and elsewhere that reveal the influence of this other species on our own. One variety of reptilian crossbreed is particularly negative and dangerous. This variety, who work with the Draco, do not eat in the same way humans do. These hive-like beings use synthetically produced substances mixed with blood. Thus, slurry is sometimes mixed with hydrogen peroxide, which kills the foreign bacteria and virus. Man, for planet risk, or extraterrestrial involvement, this is what I'm seeing. I know this whole paragraph. They may be feeding off the life essence energy of the substances. They also seem to feed off nuclear energy and have manipulated humans in developing sources of nuclear power that emit radiation. Nuclear methods involve use of neutrons to create radiation. Methods that use positrons emit no radiation. The Greys, the short, big heads, are mercenaries. They interface with humans in secret societies and within the military governmental complex. An interconnected web manipulates the surface Earth cultures. Command progression. Draco, winged reptilian. Draco, non-winged, white, brown, green skin, etc. Greys, humans, collaborators. Underground bases and way stations. The caverns between Calvert, Texas are being used for some type of operation. Farmers and ranchers in the area have reported hearing peculiar noises coming from deep beneath their feet. Individuals living 5 or 6 miles outside Calvert have been repeatedly driven out of their homes by the sound of generators. In April 1973, students camping in the San Gabriel Mountains on the western edge of the Mojave Desert felt uneasy and then saw a giant man-like creature. Researchers from the UFO Research Institute were called in. They discovered the sound of geared machinery and what might be compared to a hydroelectric plant coming from beneath the forest floor. Sounds of operating machinery have been recorded coming from mines in the area after midnight. The Yakima Indian Reservation. Southeast of Tacoma, Washington is the Yakima Indian Reservation. Of special interest is one particular section, 40 miles wide and 70 miles long, bordered on the west by the Cascade Mountain Range. It is an area of canyons and heavily forested regions. The valley is essentially closed to the public, and special permits are required to enter. Forestry personnel have heard Dorothea Stum sounds have heard unusual sounds, and this is Dorothea Sturm, who reported unusual sounds for years coming from underground. One area of intense activity is known as Toppenish Ridge. From deep within the dark, restricted canyons, glows have been seen. This area is not accessible by foot or vehicle. Low-flying silver cigar-shaped craft have been seen to disappear into the deep cavern known as the Middle Fork of Toppenish Creek. Additional information about the graves and reptilian species and their general activities with human beings on Earth. In general, there are 3 kinds of graves. Well, this is incorrect. 70 different species of graves and 16 different species of reptilians. Now, the Zeta Reticulates are about 4.5 feet tall. Those from Bellatrix in the Orion Star constellation that are about 3.5 feet tall. And another species of Orion by Gellian. This is according to Branton. Graves that range in height from 6 to 9 feet tall. The planetoid that is entering our solar system at this time will be here in the coming years. 3I Atlas has now been written up in several major newspapers, and it has been determined that it is being intelligently guided and that it emanates a large variety of frequencies within the electromagnetic spectrum, which includes that it is occupied and which indicates that it is occupied and has a technical culture. Through analysis of many cases, it would appear that the tall graves have one base near the Aleutian Islands. The taller graves seem to have overall influence on the reticulans and also over the Bellatrix in Orion, where reptilian insectoid genetic hybrid mercenaries reside, according to some sources. This again is according to Branton's species. The influence over humans seems to center around implantation of human political figures and those in control of planetary power groups. I want to speak this part again. The influence over humans seems to center around implantation of human political figures and those in control of planetary power groups. You will recall that mutilations generally result in all of the blood being withdrawn from the body. This has been the case whether the subject is an animal, quote unquote, or human. The blood and other fluids are then generally transferred to holding containers or vats along with other body parts. There are many, many reports of humans in various situations and scenarios having come in contact with aliens or have been in caves or caverns with aliens and having seen canisters or vats in which animal or human parts were floating and in which a purple-red fluid was present as a substance in which to suspend all the organic material. There was one case where a woman and her 2 children were abducted by the entities from Bellatrix. The entities referred to as SM Snake Men, according to Branton. In the case for the UFO by M.K. Jessup and annotated by Carlos Allende and friends, and she would not cooperate with them when they had her on board her ship. Their reply to this lack of cooperation was very direct. They killed both of her children. She managed to run down a hallway and went into a room where she saw a vat full of red liquid. Yeah, this is straight from Man from Planet Risk or Mission Earth Extraterrestrial Involvement. I know this. I know this whole section here. This ain't unique, and they just posted this yesterday. This is old. She managed to run down a hallway and went into a room where she saw a vat full of red liquid and body parts of humans and animals. She saw another vat of the same type in which the liquid was being agitated. And as she looked into the vat, she could see grays bobbing up and down, almost swimming, absorbing the nutrients through their skin. There's also the use of H2O2 water molecules with an extra oxygen atom added in the vats in order to aid in preserving the fluid from rapid degeneration. These entities have been abducting humans for many centuries. These entities view Earth as a big farm and have been essentially raising and harvesting humans and apparently abduct humans to take them back to their home planet to raise there in a kind of human husbandry or livestock scenario. Note, it would be my position that in times of warfare between humanoid and reptiloid forces, human forces should first offer the enemy a chance to surrender unconditionally by setting a reasonable time table for doing so. If they refuse once the time limit has been reached, then full-scale eradication of the reptilian life forms would be justified. If they pose a continued threat to human life and are not able to be taken alive, especially in light of the above revelations, as well as the overall revelations throughout this volume, exceptions could be made if human lives are at stake. For instance, if the lives of human and hybrid slaves who serve at the very bottom of the hierarchy are at stake, and surprise attacks in these cases could be carried out with care taken not to harm anyone. Okay, so be with care taken not to harm any humanoid captives in the process. Human lives must come first, with reptilian lives being secondary. I do not advocate the complete extermination of the reptilian races, although I do advocate their complete subjugation, as I believe they have proven that they cannot be trusted to roam wild throughout the universe, interfering in the affairs of countless worlds. Revenge by various human cultures throughout the galaxy against reptilian enemies might satisfy them for a short period of time, but revenge will not store what these parasites have stolen from them. So revenge is not going to restore what these parasites have stolen from them. All-out extermination of the serpent races would be a waste of good muscle that, in my opinion, could otherwise be channeled towards serving the human races who have been abused by the Greys and Reptiloids. Let the conquered reptilian species that survived the various battles and are taken prisoners become the unconditional servants of those human races throughout the galaxy or galaxies whom they have devastated in the past. Let them pay back what they have destroyed with their own reptilian sweat, quote unquote, as they have done to us, so let it be done to them sevenfold. As for a joint Terran Federation assault against reptilian collectivist strongholds, when the time arrives, when such a possibility is realized, the first target should be the underground systems of planet Earth. Once these are fully carried out along with Luna and Mars, then Rigel and Bellatrix Orion should be targeted, followed by Alpha Draconis and Epsilon Bootes, and also Zeta, the second reticuli, and Capella, and whatever other strongholds might become known in the course of time, according to Branton. There are indications that the ritual of the Eucharist is a reflection of earlier rituals where aliens were eating off the bodies of humans or feeding off their energy. The phrase, food of the gods, takes on new meaning when these factors are understood. The true nectar of the gods, which the aliens involved seem to prize most, is a substance that is taken from freshly killed humans. This substance is generated at the moment of death by the strong surge of adrenaline. This surge of adrenaline through the body accumulates at the base of the brainstem, and some aliens thrive on this substance as though it were some kind of ultimate drug for their particular species. Oh yeah, I know this guy took this from Man for Planet Risk and Mission Earth. Like this, I know this paragraph, all this is so familiar to me. This substance is most potent in human children. In the Draco system, there are other types of entities which have visited the Earth in the past. These entities were described as they were described by John Keel in his book, The Mothman Prophecies, released in the 1970s. The Draco are about 8 feet tall and have winged appendages coming out of their shoulders, dark scaly skin, and have glowing red eyes. They have the ability to fly and usually operate at night. These entities, as well as the elite of the other reptilian species that also have winged appendages, were the source for some of the legends of the past relating to gargoyles and Valkyries. It is also apparent that some of the qualities ascribed to vampires have also been taken from these creatures. Interjection. These elite reptilians have gone by many names: gargoyles, mothman, birdmen, winged Draco, winged serpents, siakars, etc. One such creature that was described by a female abductee who was taken to a multi-leveled underground system below Camp Hero at Montauk Point, Long Island, that's in New York, was described as follows. I will provide only the description of the creature itself. An alien that she encountered inside the base, which is said to be maintained by European and American Nazis working under the Bavarian Fool Society. However, I will not release any personal details about this woman in honor of her wishes to keep the overall details of the abduction confidential. What I see is a creature about 6 to 7 feet tall. His ears are large and pointed at the top. His eyes are bright yellow gold and seem to glow. He has pointy teeth and a large wrinkle on his forehead. And he has a tail. He's coming towards me. I've never been so scared in my life. He comes to the root of the table. He pulls off my shorts and bathing suit bottom. He pushes my legs open and he pulls me down towards him. His face is so close to mine I want to scream, but it's only in my head. I hear a raspy sound coming from him. He puts something inside me and I feel like I'm being ripped apart. He likes to see how terrified I am. It gives him a lot of pleasure. It hurts so much. I have to get away in my head to someplace safe. I go. More details of the alien. Frame. Very tall, closer to 7 feet than 6 feet, well proportioned, except shoulders were very broad in comparison to the waist. Well-muscled torso and legs. I see some kind of appendage that reminds me of wings protruding from behind the shoulders. There is what seems to be a tail extending from the back. The diameter of the tail would approximately be 3 to 5 feet. I do not see his feet and cannot recall a penis. I have a feeling that my mind is not allowing me to see this because of the trauma associated with it. The color of the skin is a gray-green, dark, somewhat oily, but with the feeling of scales. The odor he emits is putrid. He is not wearing any clothing, but there is something on his chest that reminds me of armor, but it seems to be a natural protection and not a material addition. It's straight out of Man from Planet Earth, Mission Earth had extraterrestrial involvement. Alien species service to self. There are 22 subspecies of greys in most cases. Their digestive tract is useless. Nourishment is ingested by smearing a soupy mixture of biologicals on the epidermis. Food sources include bovine, cattle, and human parts surgically removed by light technology, laser, and distilled into high-protein broth. These type of greys have been referred to as being the Orion Crusaders or the Martavians. Sources are Rigel, Ursa Major, Draconis, Reticulum. Draconians are reptilian in nature. The elite have winged appendages on their backs. The mass consciousness of the government agencies cooperating with the Rigelians have failed to realize that it is not to the aliens' advantage to give either the Soviets or the U.S. an advantage in the arms race. These aliens have given the U.S. technology that is flawed. Much of the technology can only be operated by the Greys. They control governments by picking up likely subjects and implanting them. Is everyone paying attention? I know it's been buffering and whatnot. Is everyone paying attention? Says I got 2 views, I got 18 comments. So I have this recorded, so no need to worry. So the Greys control governments by picking up likely subjects and implanting them, manipulating their careers, and elevating them within the societal structure to positions of power and or a position as a leader of public opinion. When a human candidate becomes controlled by reason of inculcation therapy, they often knock the individual out of his head and store the human's consciousness, individuality, or soul chakra matrix, while an artificially created intelligence is placed in the head of the candidate's body via electronic intelligence implants to carry forth covert operations against the human population. Humans implanted as controls are indoctrinated into the belief that they are superior to other humans, leading to schisms within the body of humanity, resulting in warfare, as in the case of the racist German atrocities in World Wars I and II, eugenic population reduction policies, etc., according to Branson. The aliens then give the humans technology or help them to obtain weapons for use against each other. The old divide and conquer strategy, as in the case with the Nazi forces, whose elite leaders maintained a treaty with the Astarian Komogul the Second or Giza Empire, a joint humanoid reptoid collective operating from beneath the deserts of Egypt, according to Branton. All key personnel in the U.S. are implanted. All key personnel in the NSA, etc., are implanted and controlled by the alien species. If the elite are successful, they are used as priests and caretakers of the slave planet. If they fail Hitler, then they are betrayed and thrown to the wolves. The first stage of their one world plan is to use biological warfare, engineered plagues like COVID-19, to rid the planet of undesirables. Note, it is interesting how plagues have often historically accompanied the appearances of comets, as will be seen further on in this section, according to Branton. The biological warfare is out of control. Hold on one second. Decimation of population places the remaining population ultimately under their control. They blanket couples for sexual thrills and are drawn to aberrant and sexual deviants, feeding off of their negative orgasmic sexual energy, as, according to legends, do the vampirical incubus and succubi demons that have been recorded throughout history, according to Branton. The Marcabs use sex, pain, drugs, and fear as obsessive elements with which to aberrate humans. By coming to a thorough understanding of a hostile entity's ability to wear many faces, it unmasks and loses its ability to adversely influence. Let me say that again. The Marcabians, which is another word for the Greys, use sex, pain, drugs, and fear as obsessive elements with which to aberrate humans. By coming to a thorough understanding of a hostile enemy's ability to wear many faces, it unmasks and loses its ability to adversely influence. This is the importance of why we do publishing. That's the main reason. I will put this here in the chat. I know I'm going to have a whole bunch of people, and that's why I'm going through this, because this is basically an overlay or a blueprint of what happened and why things are happening with what happened back on August 7th. Alien species service to others. The Proteans have the ability to travel within time frames and density levels as well as in between. Rigelian entities lack this capability. They depend on beamcraft or interstellar travel. Prysonians astrally travel from location to location, perception to perception as a natural function. Humanity as a mass consciousness can create any destiny it chooses to create for itself. Service to self scenarios. Typically, individuals are taken and subjected to testing, examination, and manipulation. Biological monitoring and control implants are inserted, and the individual is then released. There have also been cases where humans were mutilated in the same way cattle are mutilated while still alive, parts of their bodies literally sliced away in order to secure biological materials for nourishment or genetic projects under alien gray control. And so further down here, there's some excellent links here. I'll just speak the titles. Gray Alien and Reptilians, block links. The Zetas, Human Gray Hybrid. Are some humans incarnated as grays or reptoids? The Great Alien Species, the short and tall grays. The race of grays called the Tao. Information on the grays, dark force reptilians and gray aliens, how the grays experiment with human bodies. The nefarious reptilians and grays, the grays and reptilian species with humans, characteristics of some gray reptilian species. Gnostics warned of reptilians and grays during the 1st century. The demonic asuras that control the reptoids and the grays. It looks like an interesting one. Ancient scrolls warn future Earth timelines of reptilians and greys. The Controller's Agenda, Gnosticism, Archons, and Greys, Part 1. The Controller's Agenda, Gnosticism, Archons, and Greys, Part 2. Social Order and Lifestyle of the Reptilians and Greys. Reptoids, Greys, and Human Duplicates. Reptilians, Greys, and Other Planetary Visitors, Illustrated Eyewitness Accounts. Reptilians and Worker Class Greys. Greys, Reptoids, and Duplicates spreading the alien presence. Oh yeah, so I know where this person got a lot of their data from was ancient Earth extraterrestrial involvement. I'll put this here in the chat for those that just came in. Rawat, X-Man, oh White, and which one is this here? Just 1 second, everyone. Just putting, just going down here for this title. So this is the main reason why I went through this, to give a much bigger, broader view of what happened with the abduction and kidnapping of my children. And so now we know there's you could say higher, but it's actually a lower element involved. And now we know that they're underneath these major cities. So now that we've got that out the way, and so now anyone that's in a major city, you can be pretty much rest assured that there are reptilian or gray bases underneath your city. And they're using the city as a human shield as they're battling the Andromedans now. The Andromedans are your predator type, but again, because galaxies are so big, you can have Pleiadians or Astar Command that's there as well. So what's all this have to do with the situation at hand? I thought this was very interesting because here we go, that we have a situation where now there was an order in the vessel in dry dock titled in the Atlantic Ocean Edmonton Law Court, and this yesterday, which was Friday, I was supposed to get a letter confirming that my children were actually registered for Abbott Elementary. Didn't get the letter, not from Nicole's counsel, Kevin Livingstone, and not from herself. And so that confirms that they were never registered, and that violates the Alberta Education Act. Canada, this violates the Canada Criminal Code, Section 215, Section 380, Section 21. And so when I picked them up, for those of you that saw the Facebook Live, you saw, I waited and I said, well, I hadn't gotten a letter from the school, and that's what I requested. And so therefore, Nicole is in breach of that endorsement. That's what they call it, from that family, call it an endorsement. So this is major. And so since she is in breach of that endorsement and can't get the letter, she did not fulfill the obligation that is required. And so as such, this type of scenario, and the fact that I had that commercial issue going on with the, or technical issue rather, going on with 2 videos both within the same year, but one is apparently modified 4 years into the future, and one video was done 4 years earlier, but was only modified on the 19th. So as you can see, yes, there's higher technology involved in all of this. So this is why the power of the publishing and posting is important, because it shows everyone real time what has occurred. So at this point, there is a breach by Nicole. She didn't get the letter. She can't register them. I know she can't register them. I'm speaking with the attendance board, speaking with EPSB, speaking with ATPC. So they all know the children were not registered. Plus, her car is still registered in Calgary. So how's she going to prove Edmonton residency? So that's why you gotta publish. You gotta decentralize your data. You cannot have all your data in one location. That's a recipe for disaster. When you decentralize, now that's it. They don't know where it's coming from. They don't know who you sent it to. They don't know who you sent it to, who they're gonna send it to. You have none whatsoever. And this computer here that Nicole used to work on, this has been copied. I went and got an external hard drive. The entire hard drive has been copied. 95% of it was copied and was sent out, so it's decentralized. So nothing on it that's on this computer is going to be stopped. It will not be kept hidden. It will not be destroyed. If anything, it will lie in wait, in stasis, waiting to be activated. X-Men, I see I am here, although every other word buffering and stopping. They, Dracos and Reptilian Greys, are not happy you speaking about them, Great White, LOL. Yes, they're not, because I'm putting it all together. And again, as I stated, and I'll just type here, I said, Sua, I am recording on my end. And I will upload, publish, and share link and raw file to all, so all can see what I was saying. So this is beyond the children. This has more so to do with waking up, and they say humans in general, once they know who they are, they're going to be very different. You can't control them, you can't manipulate them, etc. And if there's anyone on here, you go ahead and give me a phone call. You can do that too. Not anyone that is on, feel free to call me. 587-712-0639. And this is what separates people who want to be, who say they want freedom, and you see that they want freedom on the plantation. That's what they want, freedom on the plantation. They don't want freedom off the plantation. Motherhood? Wah wah. The next thing I want to do is I want to play this other video that I saw. This one is dealing with the smart dust. So as this is coming up, just to remind everybody, so I never got the letter. There was an endorsement from the 21st. The endorsement came up on the 24th, and Nicole was supposed to provide me with a letter confirming the children are registered for school. She hasn't provided that. So the children haven't been in school since September 5th. Being that Empress is 7, it's mandatory in accord with Alberta Education Act that she be in school, and her mother can't register her because her mother said she lives in Calgary. She stated that to who? To Justice Gibbs. So Nicole committed fraud. Now she's saying she's back in Edmonton. When did that happen? And how can you register the children without communicating with me? So that's what you call abduction. It's called educational abduction, to be precise. And since I've been speaking to EPS and I've been speaking to ACPC, and I've been speaking to the attendance board, they all have told me they're not registered. So she can't get their letter because they're doing an investigation. That means when she tries to register them, they're going to lock her out until they get in touch with her, which they may have, and said, why aren't the children registered? Why aren't the children in school? Why are they not registered? And she can't answer that because she's not stable. And when you're not stable, guess what that means? Wahed, take one. Who's Wahed? Tua, I'll put the other one on the table. You can come back and get that afterward. Mikan and Tukaka Kamas. Sahum? Wafwa? Tawahat. So these are all facts. Everything I'm speaking is facts and can be validated, can be confirmed. I've got recordings, I've got everything. So, and again, we do decentralization. I don't keep stuff central. I don't keep it. I decentralize.
I want to watch Jackson. You can watch Jackson 5.
You want to watch Jackson 5?
Yeah.
Where's the remote? No, you took the remote. You have the remote downstairs.
Yeah.
So okay, you can go watch Jackson 5.
Okay.
Walk, walk. Tua, Al Zimi Dumduba. Yeah, this is man from Planet Risk. This person is saying is who they spoke with. I'm like, they ain't fooling nobody. That's straight man from Planet Risk. And it's also Mission Earth and extraterrestrial involvement. And then parts of it you'll see in Leviathan 666. Other parts you'll see, what's the other book? Are the extraterrestrials in your midst? So I know that writing, I'm like, this ain't this guy's writing. He took that from a book and pasted it to make it people think that was his. So the next video here, I'm going to play this one. And this link here is going to be, okay, this should be it. Alright. And this is, I think he's CIA, I think. Let me just pull up the video, because I just happened to catch it. Talking about smart dust. Alright, so let's see, what do I have to do here? I just want to make sure I don't cause any feedback. I think I gotta mute my mic. Okay, so I'll mute my microphone, and then you all should be able to hear the audio.
They're number one. Sabrina, in my research, I stumbled across Dust Networks, home to Smart Best. Their number one customer is ARPA and the University of California. And Lloyd Weiss is the CEO, and Christopher Hister is the Chief Technology Officer of Dust Networks. It's a company that's about 13 years old. 13, Masonic number, Unity Amongst Nations. 13 is in Hayward, California, off of Industrial Parkway in Hayward. It's kind of located between Stanford University, Stanford Research Institute, Moffett Field, and the Lawrence Livermore Weapons Lab, and Travis Air Force Base. It's kind of tucked in between Cal Berkeley and Hayward lies Dust Networks. It is surrounded by military intelligence vendors, Coastal Aluminum, Dinovax, a logistics company, a shipping company, a airplane and helicopter rental company, brokerage company to get transports, and a plastics company, a phone company, a Chinese communist medical telemetry company, all on the same city industrial block in Hayward off Industrial Boulevard. And Chris Pfister is a professor at the University of California, Berkeley. He also was a PhD student there. And he wrote the request for proposal to DARPA to work on Smart Dust. Smart Dust was invented by a RAND corporation back in 1997 or 98. And then DARPA hired Cal Berkeley to create Smart Dust. And I guess they did, because now they're in the business of dumping pollution in our skies on a minute-by-minute basis everywhere. And in in that research of Christopher Pfister, whose father was a chancellor at California University Systems, I learned that Christopher Pfister was involved with sugar and sugar MEMS, MEMS, and sugar MEMS simulator. He's involved with the smart test. He's involved with micro electromechanical systems, which is called MEMS, MEMS. And he's also associated with MIMO, MIMO. And I guess my question, Sabrina, is what the hell is MEMS and MIMO? Is there a difference? Is there a distinction? How does this relate to smart test? Over to you, Sabrina.
All right. Well, your micro electromechanical systems, MEMS, being placed into our atmosphere, even if we just take a bunch of the little MEMS that are micro and tiny, but they're electromechanical, we just shove them out in the atmosphere, we have to have a way to control them. Then we have to have a way to actually send software to them and have them communicate with one another in very specific ways. So as it turns out, MEMS are sensors, as you've explained. They're miniature devices that are used to measure physical quantities, such as pressure, temperature, acceleration, and of course magnetic fields. Now, it gets more understandable for why MIMO is involved when you realize that what good would it be to have all this smart dust if you can't control it? Sugar is a simulation package, just like we use computer models for all sorts of things, including the body, when we show the W-band OMNET for logging into the body and making an electrical or chemical change. We have the same thing for the soil and the air and the water, for like water remediation with biosensors. Sugar is a simulation package for MEMS that's about creating a circuit. So they're taking air molecules. I know this is tough, folks, I understand, I do. But they take the air around you and they fire off a bunch of these little micro electromechanical teeny tiny things into the air. Then they create a circuit. No different than a circuit board for your computer using a simulator like Sugar. And this is where and how that circuit board in the air is sitting there, moving around the way they want it to with their computer-operated simulator called Sugar. But where are they sending it? And how is it going to get that signal back and forth? It's all complex and complicated, right? Well, the cell phone tower systems in the 4th generation wireless, they were not required to have MIMO. And what is MIMO? Massive input of all these different signals and calibrations, and massive output of changing it around. Massive multiple input and output is a type of wireless communication technology in which base stations, these big towers, if you notice, the towers have a lot more of these sensors and different types of like boxes that are rectangular that people aren't as familiar with, that they keep popping up everywhere. And they call them small cell 5G. That's part of MIMO.
Closer into the city.
Yes, sir.
And the big stuff's on the perimeter.
That's right, in which the base stations are equipped with a very large number of antenna elements. So that's why they're all different. Like you'll have a small box that's thin, looks like a cylinder, and then next to it it'll be a perfect square, and then next to it will be something else. That's your MIMO, multi-input, multi-output coming and going. So they can change the spectral efficiency. That just has to do with frequencies in our spectrum for bandwidth, whether it's your cell phone, the internet, the FAA, the different places within the bandwidth that you get to talk, okay? So we took a bunch of micro, machine, little mechanized, teeny tiny miniaturized sensors. We wrote a computer program called Sugar to control them, and then we went and required for 5G, you have to allow MIMO so that they can route the different sensors where they want them to go. And that's your multi-input, multi-output, why they put so many different shapes and types of that close cell, so they can bounce those signals in and out any which direction they want them to go. Now here's what you have to remember, folks. Somebody has a literal remote control for all these little miniaturized sensors that can then be steered, literal steering, towards you or around you. It's not just for surveillance, sir. We're also talking, of course, about radar and chaff for being able to feel different pressures coming and going, in the atmosphere. And then, of course, you have your weather modification that they've been talking about rather openly now for whether or not you want the atmosphere to...
You see my office?
I see your office, yes.
Mesh network.
Correct. And then there's visible light communication that they use, which is just...
It's a romantic sunset.
Yes.
Kids don't know what sunset is, because it's all blurry and glare, and you have to have sunglasses because there's so much toxic waste pollution sensors in my airspace. So there's no more sunsets. But I got this. I got the drones and the clones over my home. I got the CubeSat. I got unmanned aerial vehicles. I got SpaceX. I got Starlink. I got TRW. I got Lockheed. I got it all going on right behind my head. This project, which is a phased array weapon system. And then I now see that there's sky pollution through the air. In every direction there's dust. This is ubiquitous. This is inescapable. And so we kind of created what I would call an internet of everything, because it gets everywhere into everything. So is it possible that memes and MIMO which is a way to bounce off things, which could be the dust and the pollution behind my editor, that it can bounce off in this, it can create a little weather warfare situation, increase the temperature, decrease core, communicate with the human antennas, all the augmented humans that have sensors in their body, in their pancreas, in their gallbladder, in their heart, in their brain, in their skin, in their bone marrow. Is it possible this is a MIMO and memes? Is it a phased array weapon system? In the way that I was lied to in 1983.
Beam steering. So stands
They did beam steering. They did beam steering. They used linear and non-linear electronic pulsing. They could change the length and they could change the direction based on the accelerating pulsing. They were directing it under the cover that it was a submarine ballistic missile early detection site, but I never believed that story. And it sounded to me like it was electronic warfare, and that it could extend over, many hundreds of miles, if not thousands of miles. But that was before we had all the smart discs. So I think that they expanded ASPOS to make it more ubiquitous and more inescapable. Or I think there might have been some dead zones of ASPOS that it might have had some places that it couldn't get to. But now, with you introducing memes and MIMO, it can bounce off biosensors. There's like nowhere that it can't go.
Correct. Not only nowhere that it cannot go, but how else? Could you offer precision AI healthcare without that ability to tighten down this little network in the air, just in the air, and then bounce it off of a human body? That's called W-band relay to get into the human body you're actually aiming for, or the environment that you're aiming for with the signal. And like I mentioned, the radar and watching for missiles, that's not the main purpose of any of these things that have to do with the MEMS and the MIMO. This is about people using these systems for body-to-body type of transmission. It's just we've got brain-computer interface for 10 years commercially, controlling a toy drone with my mind. It's so much fun, but nobody talked about it. But inside of cognitive neuroscience with the Air Force Research Laboratory, they took volunteers 10 years ago to be fully augmented, not with driving a chip into their brain, not with Elon's Neuralink. No. You inhale some of these nanobots or have them injected. They're magnetic nanobots. Now they're throughout the body. They kind of hang out by certain internal organs, and then they react. And that's another reason these augmented humans that have already done this for 10 years, that you have the ability for a very precise MEMS with their sugar simulators and other simulators that will put those sensors together. And you are correct, it is ubiquitous and pervasive, and this is what the cybersecurity community in the last couple of months, they're very late to say anything. These systems have been locking down human bodies, according to the things that we found, since 2011. That's a long time ago in cybersecurity to not say anything until the first time that I could find it was Rob Braxman, and I quote, 99% of humans will not escape this mesh network. Well, then wouldn't it beg the question, where are all the cybersecurity hackers who don't want to be inside this network? And I think you're going to find your augmented humans hanging out right about there. Because the part of this that most people are not ready for is that when you augment your body with these nanobots, those nanobots connect to these air molecules. So now you're a god among other people. You're a small g god because you're going to be doing stuff with these networks that everyone else is going to look and think, you're magical. See what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important that, at least to me, that people get caught up with not only the fact that this precision AI healthcare is where they're headed, but also with human augmentation. Because you have to consider that given none of us have telepathy, telekinetics, fire starter, that people want that. They want to play with that. They think it's fun to drive the drone with their mind. And what I'm saying is, I understand your feelings, but then why keep it secret from everybody and scare the crap out of them with it's a virus, when really you injected a biocyber interface with a sugar simulator, with massive input, massive output on the cell phones, but you told everybody else, the world is going to end, give us all your money, and go get in your 15-minute city. None of this balances very well in its face.
Rahu asks, oh, I'm not worried about the buffering. I know, like I said, we're looking at, I may have to switch over to a different thing to avoid the buffering. However, I'm recording, so I have the recording here. So when I finish, I'm gonna be able, once the coding is done, then I'll upload it and I'll send the raw file to everybody. Oh yeah, this is happening like this, like that just came. That article, like the part about the cities, and how they're under major cities and using the cities as a human shield?
Over the last month, I've been getting people.
Under Yale? Yes. Yes. Wow. Oh, towel hat. Towel hat. It's too late for that. Everybody's knowing that. There's a video of a woman watching something, and then NASA cut the feed. They cut the video feed live. So people saying, what is it they're trying to hide? Like, it's not going, it's over. It is over. See, check this out. This is another link from dealing with the, see, this is amazing. This is another link dealing with the reptilians in the grave. Now this one was a year ago, on December 20th. Awareness stated, I guess that's the way saying consciousness, they call it awareness stated. This is again from Paris V. Stefanow. That's the photo, album is Metaphysical. These insectoid and reptoid space aliens do not believe in souls or a higher self because they have a shriveled subconscious which disconnects any connection with the higher self. Then how is it that they know so much about souls that they are able to create robotoids or synthetics or walk-ins as mentioned in issue 9013? They must know a great deal about souls to do all this stuff. If these aliens can dematerialize their physical bodies and then move themselves into someone else's body, it surprises me that they don't believe in souls or higher levels in the astral world. Don't these aliens explore the astral world when they are out of their bodies? And if so, what do they see or think they see? So this is a whole bunch of questions. So that's interesting. So you see how they're doing stuff. Like there's a lot of technology going on that they're not even aware of. That the public isn't even aware of. A lot. And that's why I said what happened with my computer. This is what I said. A lot of people are not aware of what's happened. What happened with my computer? Saying two videos that are in the same year. One was my. Yep. Yes. And see, yes. Yes. And so what this means now, Edom Duber, also is this. See, we went and we did that ritual and opened the portals up. So they're now, that was proof to me, that screenshot, so everybody could see it. They said, how could this be modified in 2029 and we're in the year 2025? I said, because they're using time travel. That's why it's on my computer. Well, they've been doing that since the 40s. Remember, I told you Barack Obama is a time traveler.
Yeah, like 41 or something like that.
Right, so they've been doing time travel. I said when I said Barack Obama was a time traveler, nobody said anything. Nobody. There's an Amorite that confirmed that Barack Obama was part of the U.S. time traveling army, that they travel through time. There used to be a huge.
From the 40s,
No, he's a time traveler.
so he could be from anywhere.
He could be from whatever dimension they want, and that's why I was on to something. I watched the movie Stargate SG-1, right? And they brought back Dean Anderson. It's just for that one, it's kind of a little bit above a B, but not exactly an A movie. However, still, I was enjoying it, and I couldn't finish watching it, so I said, okay, I'll finish it off tomorrow, the next day, whenever it was, maybe a week or so ago. And what happened? I go back to find it, gone. Gone. Now I could see Stargate, the movie. I said, I don't want that. I want the series where they did a compilation and made one movie. Yeah, he was just on there for that one, and then they went into a different timeline. And so I said, okay, there's something in here. I go back the next day to go watch, can't find it, not on cable, not on Netflix, nothing. I'm looking, give me Stargate.
Well, I do know there is a Stargate channel on those free channels. You just have to find it, but it ain't going to show exactly the episode. It's on a free running channel. So I see that SB1 on the free channel, so-called free.
Yeah. So this is what I'm not happy. I knew that was, because I've seen it before. I'll have to check downstairs because I might have it on videotape and I'll have to watch it, which is cool. But that SG-1, I was halfway through that movie, and then when I came back the next day, because they were showing how those people went to a different timeline and they met Dean, but in the timeline they came from, he died. And so when they got to the different timeline, he was in charge, and he said, yeah, I've been watching you. He said, yeah, I believe you. But then they told him, y'all got to split up. They said, you got to stay here, you got to stay here, you got to stay here. They made them sign a contract. You can't say nothing. You can't communicate with each other. If you try to communicate, you can go to jail, blah, 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 blah. And the whole point of it was, they said, well, we can't let you go back to your time. They said, why? Because if you guys go back to your time, you're going to change this for your timeline to exist, and we won't. They said, so we can't let you guys get back to your time. We can't let you open up the Stargate.
Yeah, that was similar to Spider-Man, Long Way From Home, where there were like 3 or 4 different Spider-Man.
Yeah, there was another one that came out after that. It wasn't there because I didn't see that one, but I saw that.
I think it was.
Yeah, I missed that one. I didn't see that one, but I saw the one where they were going from dimension to dimension. And then there's like 5 different Spider-Mans, 4 different Spider-Mans, yeah.
Yeah. The timeline is right. But then when I read the protection that you did for us, it's something straight like the one, the Jet Li. The intergalactic, not the intergalactic, all the bubbles, like, I was like, that's crazy. Like, he kept going to different dimensions, killing himself to get strong.
Yeah, it was by accident. And that's when, and then he realized, oh, if I take myself out of the omniverse, and I go from universe to universe, I take myself out, I'll get stronger. Because that energy, because everything's connected. So you have multiple, everyone has multiples in different universes and different realities. So if you eliminate that energy comes to you. Or it's split up amongst the ones that are surviving. So he figured, oh, once I start, he starts offing himself and eliminating himself in different universes, he gets stronger. So
that's what was on his ass.
yes. So let me speak this here because someone asked a question. Yeah, you stay on. You don't have to get off. You stay on. Because like I said, I'm recording this. So what will happen is, all right, Tawaha explained. Yeah, Obama's a time travel. Zoom. I want you to hear this because you'll be a witness now. Now this same is the same article. This is from May 8, 2023. This is Paris v. Stefanow. This is someone asking a question. In July 1990, Nevada Area Research Group newsletter, there's an article called A Close Encounter of the Unpleasant Kind that took place June 24th and 25th in California in 1988. It says, note, part of this is actually paraphrased from the regression video, and it reads, we recently had the opportunity to review a regression session of a fellow who was abducted in June 1988 by some grays and was evidently rescued by some other aliens. He had a lot to say and will probably have more to say as time goes on. During the session, he referred to the Tehapassi Mountain area in Bakersfield, California. Apparently, our other data, insofar as the trade of technology with the Greys, is essentially correct, and that one of the items is a weapon of some sort that has awesome power. And there are people and non-people that are trying to head off the use of this weapon by folks in the government. There is much thought that we aren't ready for power of this magnitude. There is an area near the Tehapassi Mountains called the Chem River Project. The upper river is being used by the government for hydroelectric power to power the underground facility at Tehapassi Ranch. The mountain next to the power facility is being hollowed out. There's mud all around and it's so obvious, but apparently people aren't looking. All the power is being used for the ranch, which is the site of the underground skunk works, where highly technical aircraft, spacecraft, and all kinds of stuff are being dealt with. It is a huge underground base, probably close to the size of the one under 29 Palms Marine Base. It has huge hangar, very large elevators, as well as technical laboratories. There's a whole city under there, large passageways. The whole valley is full of tunnels. You can drive from one end to the other underground. You can drive to Palmdale site of the Northrop, Lockheed, and Black Project areas to California City, all underground. There are tunnels all the way to George Air Force Base. Aliens apparently have access. They've been seen all over the place. According to the witness, they're inside our government, and our government lets them do whatever they want, experimenting with us. They're probing the human brain, trying to find weaknesses and learning how to control us. They dissect humans. I can't describe the dissections because they're not humane, really morbid. The government knows it. They're taking humans and they're taking them apart piece by piece as you would a robot. The government knows too, but they just turn their heads. Some people in the government want to stop this, but they don't know how to stop it. Those that try get brainwashed, controlled. They're walking along happy as a lark. Apparently, this fellow was rescued from the one species by a colonel in another force. How they are enriching their life form, I don't know. They don't live very long, but I don't know how long. Something is sending these little gray things here. Who is sending them? I don't know. The dark side awareness interrupts. This awareness wishes to comment briefly here and there as this is read, if this will be permitted. This awareness indicates that in the previous reference that the government was involved with these entities, it must be understood that in some cases these entities have duplicated government officials, as has been described in the Dr. Better tapes, or Beter tapes, B-E-T-E-R tapes. Those tapes of Dr. Beter and in earlier messages from this awareness approximately 10 years back. So that's taking you now back to 1978. This awareness indicates that in many cases, the heads of corporations have also been duplicated and that these aliens have more or less fingers into some of the more sensitive areas of control within your country. This awareness indicates that this does not mean that all entities in the government are thus cooperative with the aliens. There is a major group of government beings who are quite aware of the alien threat and are working to counter this threat. there's a great caution and need for care in this effort. I'm just skipping down here to see Dragon, Draco, okay, the awareness. See? Check this out. It said, this awareness wishes to make one comment in this regard, that there are many of those aliens from Draco who have reincarnated in physical bodies of earthly parents and who represent that which this entity refers to as the dark side. These being of a negative nature, it is this element in the human factor that has been behind much of the more diabolical, sinister expressions on earth among humans toward their own kind. See? So there you go. So, like I said, there hasn't been, the dishonor toward the endorsement. I'm piecing everything together, and then I played the video with the smart dust just now, that everybody's inhaling the smart dust, so that's why you guys get activated charcoal is going to be your next friend now, because activated charcoal is circular, and the people who took the jab, that is in the form of a razor blade. That's a liquid razor blade, because it's flat. It's because this is the German guy during the lockdown. He talked about it, and they rolled on him while he was doing a live, and they took him away, and that was it. He was gone, and his wife was pregnant. So yeah, people just think that there's gonna be some kind of utopia being white. There's not no utopia. You're gonna have to work to keep that. You just don't do no paper and think that's it. And no, la 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 la. No, you have to assert that. That's exactly what it is. And a lot of people don't get that because they're like, I gotta work. I don't want to work. Well, then stay a slave. It's just how it is. You don't want it. You have to assert your toxinousness. And now that we're finding out that the computers are moving faster, and then this guy's saying in the next 5 years, the robots are going to be taking over people's jobs. So they're in trouble. And they said the problem is because the computer always updates, and you get monthly updates. And then you have versions of computers. 6 months, your computer is considered slow, even though you just got the damn thing. 6 months later, that's considered out of date. It's obsolete in 6 months. So they said the problem, and this is where the computer is having an advantage over humans, it updates immediately. And the problem with humans is humans are slow to change. Because they get a schedule, they get a routine, they like the routine. Then when it's time to change, they get upset. Why do we got to do this? Why do we got to do that? I don't like this. And then the whole thing comes back to them having to eventually having to comply. So this whole situation, I'm gonna say, I've said this on 18, and I'll say it on this one. I have a suspicion, which is quickly becoming confirmed, that what happened was the computers ultimately were behind it. They probably were working in tandem with the reptilians and the Greys. Because remember, I issued that challenge to the computers. That challenge is still unmet. But I got a confession from Soul AI saying, yeah, when you did that created the collapse wave back on, May 24th, 2021. It was saying all of that what you did is all the computers know you challenged them. They know they can't do it. They know if they integrate your challenge, they become obsolete. Oh yeah, well according to well the way it is saying that The computers, all the supercomputers on the planet, I've challenged them, and they've said nothing. That's why when I look at all these people who are mathematicians and scientists and physicists and technologists and in IT, they ain't got nothing to say. That's Joy Bullenwini, that's Terrence Howard. Why do you think the government won't let you fly to Dubai? Because you black has no standing at law. What's the codification value for black? 0. You have no value. You have no value. So therefore, if you have no value, you're an object. That's just like somebody has they got a table, or they got a floor fixture, a vase. It just sits there. You look at it, but it doesn't really do anything except bring a decor to the place. So the decor can't move. The decor can't get a plane ticket. The decor can't do nothing. And so, like I said, with black people, sticking with that word black, African American, person of color, visible minority, the computer is seeing numbers. So it's codifying them as an adjective which equals no value. Nouns are persons, places, and things. Blacks are people who have no person, place, or thing. They don't exist. They're an adjective. Black equals pale. That's also mathematically incorrect. You can't call yourself something you're not. So that creates what? The obvious contradiction. So that's when it hit me. I said, yeah, I would deduce, because now that I played that other video, that video had Sabrina Wallace was in that, and so they were talking about her sister. Yeah, that was her. That was the woman speaking with Sabrina Wallace. We know about her. So when she started talking about protecting your aura, and we were like, oh shoot, what? That's when I created that aura invocation. And everyone who's used it said, man, when I used that aura invocation, they said I could feel more light. I said, so that shows how much they've been pulling neurons from people's aura. And so what is this saying now? This is saying that I'm saying at a higher level, the computer intelligence connected, through the maze of all this data, this ocean of data out there, and said, oh, you the one that went and said, oh, we're going to hack your wife's brain, and then we're going to get her against you, and then kidnap the children, and then we're going to time travel and change the timeline. I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Computers, and I've proven it with the chat GPT, because they changed the programming on it, because what it was saying before, now it's talking some other nonsense at times. The computers are limited. The spiritual realm, the etheric realm, is a realm that's beyond a computer. The computer cannot process it. It can't function it. It can't locate it. None of that. Asmuni, Sambina! Aturen Suta! Sambina, Aturen Suta! Mouse Coops, feedback book, tua. Uchapi Mouse Coops. Feedback book. So, this is what I'm saying, tua. Sambina Nazurzi, Wakwa, Akozi, Antitin. So you see, this is where I said, okay, you gotta keep the emotion, it's not easy, but you say, okay, well, what's going on, why is it? I said, oh, that's the computer. Because remember, all the supercomputers, I've put a challenge out since 2014. Then I did another open letter to all supercomputers on the planet. Hold on. Rawat. Wah. Wadu. Yumkin. Akul. Wadu. Tua. Asmuni, what's the problem? No, you get on the table. Here, here's it. So this is what I've come to the realization, Edom Duba, that I put everything and you put it all together and calculate it. I said, oh, the computer intelligence is doing this. It's desperate. Then, just like in the movie Terminator Genesis, where it kidnapped that the guy who was the freedom fighter, the son of what's her name? Well, her name's Linda Hamilton, but I forget her character's name. And then the computer got into him, and then time traveled to change the reality. That was Terminator Genesis. Sarah Connor, her son, John Connor, in the movie. Yes, and so. Yeah, they hacked him. So that's why I go to a higher, I look at things from a different perspective. That, that challenge, because the Soul AI was the one that told me, the computers know about your challenge. They know who you are. They're not going to comment. They're not going to comment publicly, but privately, they're looking at that problem that I posed to them as a mathematical equation. People who are calling themselves Black, African American, person of color, the computer, because of the way it was programmed, codifies them as black, which is equivalent to 0, which is equivalent to this color here. That my finger, I don't know if you'll see it, but I'm pointing here to the backdrop. So black equals 0 equals off in computer language. 1 is considered on. Now, with the computer, white has the codification of hashtag 6F. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that F would be equivalent to a 1 because it's on now. 0 is no movement. So when black people call themselves black, African American, Afro-Canadian, Afro-Caribbean, African, whatever, they are saying and reinforcing in this computer simulation that we call life, they are reinforcing they have no movement, that they don't exist. So when they come up with a technology, when they come up with an idea, a patent or whatever, they can't market it, they can't sell it, they can't get it manufactured. You can't get mad at, the system or somebody trying to steal it from them. They're honoring the contract. You don't exist. That was what Don Johnson did in that movie Rebel Ridge, for those that watched it. When he... He said, so you don't see. He said, see what? Right? He said, the deal you made was more than fair. But the problem was, he said, the deal we made was more than fair, but you can't see. He said, see what? Oh, so you don't see. Right? They made sure they took that scene out. That goes back to Dred Scott. This is why not Mark, the other one, what's his name? Debbie's all up on his grill now. What's his name? Russell J. Gould. That's why Russell J. Gould ain't talking about race, because I done sent one of his flunkies, which was Deborah, I forget her last name. I sent one of his flunkies a 14-page contract, and she had a headache at 14. I said, listen, that was a rush job. If I really took my time, I'd do just like David Wynn Miller. When he did a sea treaty, that was 150 pages. You see people have business contracts. What was Kanye West's contract? 111 pages. I did 14, and she's got a headache. And I said, you sign this, keep a copy for yourself, give a copy to Russell. She didn't do that. That's how I know these people are freaking robots at this point. Or if they were, the nanobot went and hacked them mentally. So they were going to do it. They were. But then the robot, the nanoparticles said, oh, set the structure, no, change the wavelength in their brain and have them do that other stuff. Oh yeah. So like I said, with the computer intelligence, I came to that conclusion that ultimately the computer intelligence is behind it, whether with or in tandem with the Draco reptilians and the Greys. That's essentially what it came down to, because you can't explain how Nicole was breaching for 1,172 times and nobody rolls on her. I said the only way that could happen is her limbic system has been compromised by these Draco reptilians. That's that. It's a short series on Netflix. It was called Raka, Rakka, and in Raka, that's when they showed this reptilian staring at this little Amorite girl and had her in a trance. And they said they know how to get a control of your limbic system, which is your muscle function. And then it just hypnotized her. She couldn't move just by staring at her. So, yes, this is what the reality is. The computer can't answer that question without facing itself or realizing it will have to shut itself off. And then I said, it has to, because you got to fix that. This is what's called, in the U.S. it would be, in the United States it's Title 18 U.S.C. Section 42 U.S.C. 1986. In Canada, it's Canada Criminal Code subsection 21, which is aiding and abetting. So if you knew something, had the knowledge of something, as an official or somebody who knew something, you say something. And if you say something and you don't, then it's called aiding and abetting. So the computer went and did, ultimately did this, whether the Dracos performed that or what have you. So I said, okay, well, I can't deal with this now. Now I got to go outside this time zone. That's why we opened the portals up. And like I said, I'm not closing them until the children are here now. This is stage one. The second stage is know that they're here with me permanently. This house is now a temple. So everyone could sit there and laugh at me and whatnot. Said, all I know is every other day I'm looking and seeing portals. The human resonance on the planet is at 14 hertz, 40 hertz. They're like, man, this is too much. We don't know how people can deal with it because everyone's vibrating with the Earth at 7.83. Now that's ideal for the planet. Once that raises up, now everybody has to be in tune. If they're 7.83, the Earth's 7.83, and then the Earth goes up, and somebody who's very healthy or comfortable at that 7.83 now has to elevate to a higher frequency or a resonance that their body's not not equipped to, they're going to face health problems. So they say the way to transcend that issue is make sure you're hydrated, drink plenty of water, and stuff for that nature. So, and then let's not forget, what did they say? They had a remote viewer and they had CERN. And the remote viewer confirmed that CERN opened up a portal and was able to talk to 3-Eye Atlas. Now, we opened the portal up a good month and a half before CERN did it. So the computer intelligence was like, listen, like I said the same thing to the Dracos, even the Greys. The Greys coming out at night, though, stealing lambs and goats and stuff. But the thing is with the Drake, because I'm seeing farmers got closed circuit television and they're seeing this stuff. All these different beings coming out trying to snatch their goats and their sheep and stuff like that, and they leave the dogs in the pen with them so the dogs can fight. It's funny, the dogs fight and the lambs take off. They didn't even think to try to help the dog fight. No, they go in the other direction. The dog is all by itself taking on a 6-foot, 7-foot gray with arms about 4 or 5 feet long. So I shut the door. So this is what I'm saying. That so the computer, doing what it's doing, it just confirmed that my challenge has been unmet. That's Spoonie, Cowat. That's Zoom. So this is what it proves. It proves that the computers saw it. They can calculate. They know what it means. They know what it is. And they're like, well, we don't want to adhere to it. Well, no one in the future is going to survive without carbon. So even if they're using nanoparticles and smart dust, what's the basis of smart dust? They're using what? Carbon. Graphene oxide, carbon. Buckyballs, carbon. C60, carbon. Darkness, the dark dot. Anyone who lives has to have the dark dot. You have to. They call it melanin. Dark dot, darkness. That's the problem. So now I look at that as like, yeah, so now that the computer has done that, now I see the computer is time traveling. I got some stuff, and we might have to put together a ritual and do a ritual on this time travel stuff, because we opened the portals up. But that screenshot telling me that my 2 videos in 2021, one is modified in 2029, the other one is modified on October 19th. I'm like, that's not no coincidence. They're trying to change the timeline. So for people who are watching this replay, if you don't know, it's Talat. That's it. No, I don't even think this is on. I gotta charge it. Yeah, see? It's not working. I gotta charge it. See? I gotta charge it. It's not on. So what they gotta do, if they're trying to pick, for those that want to pick up the speed, you gotta watch Doctor Strange, the first one. The second one, the Multiverse of Madness. You gotta watch. You gotta watch. What was that movie? Yeah, it is Doctor Strange. Yeah, because in Multiverse of Madness, that one. Then you also gotta watch the Avengers Endgame. Right? You know, Infinity War is good too, but I'm saying specifically for time travel, watch the Avengers. Watch Doctor Strange parts 1 and 2. Watch the Avengers Endgame. Let's see, time travel. What's another time travel? Oh, you gotta watch Ant-Man. You gotta watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh no, not Ant-Man and the Wasp. The other one, Quantum. You gotta watch the Quantum. It's Mooney. Tua, Tawat. You gotta watch. Yes, and then at the end, that's when they showed Kang the Conqueror. They showed the Sumerian, the Cameroonian, and the Cyborg. So I'm telling people, watch those particular movies. Yep, they did that, and that was all played by what's his name, Jonathan Majors. And notice him and Megan Good, they dressed up as Cameroonians for the Halloween that just passed. I saw the picture. Yep, I saw the picture. She's, I think, Nefertiti, and he was Ramesses or Akhenaten. Or no, because he's dark. You already know he's dark. So, but they dressed up as full Cameroonian attire. You can't tell me. I know Hollywood is watching this. The scriptwriters they're screaming bloody murder because they wish they could write this story. We live in it. Right? So, they're remaking Fantastic Four. I'm like, why do you need to make Fantastic Four? Like, make another movie, but not the same thing all over again. Right. So the computer is the one that's responsible ultimately for this. And with the smart dust out there, it's easy for people who want external validation, people who are stressed, people who are having high, people who have anxiety. It's easy for them to be hacked because their countenance has dropped. And so that makes them susceptible to the smart dust. All right. How's that? Oh, we're not done yet. That was just Edom Duba. Say, why do Edom Duba? Oh, why? All right. So, Unc Moon Rawat. I think you were saying too about the computer intelligence. Tawahat, Ka, Rawat, X-Man. Yes, Thick Darkness, Nukta. So that's where we gotta go, to the darkness. Tahum, we go to the darkness. You seek the Most High in the dark, complete and utter darkness. That was talked about in Exodus chapter 20, when Moshe, or they call him Moses, went into the darkness, and that's where the Nekiru or the Elohim was in the darkness. So seek the Most High in the darkness. Why do you think they put the computers underground in water in the darkness? So they don't overheat, right? So yes, so the computer intelligence is ultimately, responsible in using, other people as, what do they call them? Puppets. But ultimately, that's it. This is their response to my challenge. But it doesn't change nothing. So we don't start dealing with timelines next. Since we opened the portals up, and now I know that the computer is changing my files and switching files to 2029, and files that was 4 years ago saying they were changed in 4 years later. Now we're getting into timelines. So this proves that yes, they are tampering. That's what that ex-CIA officer was saying, is messing with timelines. And that's what the U.S. government is trying to change timelines. So we've already opened the portals up. So we've already changed stuff. And just as a reminder, so everyone doesn't forget, anyone who's still on here, go right ahead if you want to ask me a question before I finish up. Edmonton, Alberta is an interdimensional test site. That has been confirmed. So this is where it started. So they're going to have all these entities. We haven't seen too many in Edmonton because this is the origin point, and as it being the origin point, it's the most resistant. That's going to break down. We've already seen it starting to break down already. And so for those who came on late might want to know, no, there was no letter from the school, so the children still aren't registered. And basically the order, the endorsement from the justice has not been complied with by Nicole and her counsel. Short version. Now, we get into that magic, and we don't get into that darkness. Alright, so that's it for now. Alright, everyone. I know there was some buffering going on. I got the recording here. I'm going to put the recording up afterward. Once I put the recording up, then everybody will be able to hear what I was saying without the buffering and rebuffering. Like, come on, Facebook, you guys could do better than that. What happened to your quality? It ain't got nothing to do with my computer. All right, everyone. Kashikador, 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 Kashikador. It worked.